Hi everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I made a video, but I was working on something and I thought it was a good topic as it was something that I struggle to find a lot of information on. So I want to make a video and help people out. So today I wanted to make a quick short video about how to implement an email verification, this flow. So if you're creating an API, if you're working on a website and especially if you want to go passwordless, you want someone to input their email but maybe don't want their password, or even if you have their password you want some way to verify that it's actually their email. There are a lot of services that can do this for you, probably with more security practices in place, and which drastically simplify the process. There are some services like Auth0 or Okta which do this for you, but as it scales, it's probably going to become expensive, and it's not something too difficult to do yourself. So I want to work on this and I created this simple flow which I thought makes sense and is secure at the same time. But I wasn't able to find a lot of information to, that consolidates all of this one place and it's easy to understand. So I made this video. So I'm just going to, I just made this quick diagram over here. So let me just walk you through this. So if you have a website, that's your client, either it's a website or a mobile app, really doesn't matter. You're going to have a form where the user inputs their email ID. So once you get their email address, they're going to send you a request, post request, most probably, to this endpoint. So I've named this the send verification code endpoint. So it's going to come to your server, and if it's a sign up process, the first thing you're going to do is see if the email address is actually a proper verified, you mean a properly formatted email address. And if it is, you're going to do a database check to see if someone else has already signed up with that same email address. So if they have not, then you can proceed, or else you're probably going to have to throw some error because this is a sign up process. So once you do that, there are still some more checks you need to do. So I've outlined them over here. So once you do that, you need to generate your actual code, your verification code or OTP, one-time PIN, which you're going to generate. There are a lot of packages available. So if you're using Node.js, really good package is Nano ID, which helps you generate different codes. It's pseudo random, so should be enough. So 6 digit is probably like the standard nowadays. So you generate this code and you can send this code to the user's email using some email service like SendGrid, or usually using SMTP. There are standard ways to send it. So I generally prefer using SendGrid's email API. It's quite quick and easy to implement. So once you do that, I had another problem. So if you realized, I've used this code to verify the email, but that's not the only way to verify the email. I'm sure you've seen that a lot of other services, they send you a link to the email and all you need to do is click on the link. But the problem with the link method is, let's assume that you're using your laptop to sign in and verify your email address. When you send the email, it could go to you, or what if you've entered wrong email and it's gone to someone else. Now, if someone's trying to hack into your account, if someone's trying to use someone else's account, you don't want the other person to accidentally click on the link and verify the account, right? Because we are assuming that once you click on the link, you don't need to enter your password. Once you click on the link, you're automatically verified and you're logged in, because you want to make the process as simple as possible for the users. So I find this really unsecure to um, um, use the link, because if someone accidentally clicks on the link when they never intended to verify the email, it could cause issues. And the same thing, even if it's your own email, but if you receive the code on your email, on your mobile phone, and if you try to verify it over that, you probably don't want them logged in on their phone rather than on their laptop, the place where they started that process. So for all of these reasons, I felt link is not going to be suitable. So now that we've decided to go with the code, you need to send the code. But still with the code, you have an issue. You want to make sure that they verify the code on the same device that they started the process. So if I start the process over here on my laptop, and if someone else somehow intercepts the code, they should not be able to verify the account on some other device. So for that, I implemented this device identifier. So that's again a code, but this time, since the user doesn't interact with it, it can be a nice long and lengthy random code that you generate, and this I'm going to call the device identifier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hash both the device identifier and the verification code and store it in the database. And my database as choice has been MongoDB. Anything really works, doesn't matter at all. But for my projects, I usually use this. And you also probably don't even need to hash the code because all of this is short-lived. It's going to expire after a period of time. So you're going to also store an expiry date, which could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It really depends on how you want to implement it. But for extra security, I have chosen to hash both of this. So once you finish all of this, you can send back the response to your client, which is the unhashed device identifier, which they're going to either just store in the state, however they're managing the state of their app, or they can store it in something like cookies or the local storage. And along with that option, you can send the email address also. So when you do this, the user would have received the code in their email address and they can type in the code. And when they hit the submit button, we're going to send our second post request to the verify code endpoint. So over here in our body, we're going to attach a few different things. We're going to send back our email, our device identifier, and our code. So if somehow the code gets intercepted or it gets sent accidentally to the wrong email, no one's going to be able to use the code because they don't have the device identifier. They did not start the process. Only the person who starts the verification process can complete it. So the verification code and the actual one-time code or the OTP, sorry, one-time PIN, the OTP that we sent to their email, all of this information has to be sent in the body. So next, what we're going to check is if the document in the database, if we're going to check if we have a document with that email address already existing, because we need that document. If that document does not exist with the same email ID, that means no one has even tried to verify that email. So we can exit out and throw an error. So if it does exist, we can continue. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare our device identifier and code. Remember, we've hashed it. So we need to compare and check if it matches, if everything's good. If that does, we can also check the expiry date. We can see if we've passed our expiry date or we're within the expiry date. If we are within, everything's good. If we are not, we need to throw an error again. So if everything's good until this point, what we can do is we can go ahead and generate either a session ID or a JSON web token. And what I've done is even if you're generating a JSON web token, theoretically you don't need to store it anywhere. You don't need to store it as a session persistently in the web server. You can verify it on the fly. Your API can be stateless, but the problem is you can invalidate these JSON web tokens. So in case these tokens get stolen or if something happens, you can't invalidate any of them. So that makes it insecure. So that's why it's preferable to store them not in the server itself in memory, but preferably in some of the database. So you could store it in MongoDB itself if you're using it. But since you want your app to be very performant, because this JSON web token has to be verified on every request that requires a user to be authenticated. So since you want it to be as fast as possible and very performant, you can use something like Redis because Redis stores all the data in memory, in the RAM. So your read speeds are going to be much faster. So once you do that, you can send your message and send the JSON web token. So that's the entire process. And this diagram, simple diagram, again, I've not used the proper conventions for this flow chart, but if this is going to be any help for you. So this is what I just created. So you have your client, you're going to send, there are only two endpoints over here. So you first send the post request to the verification code endpoint. It's going to generate your OTP, your device identifier, send that, and at the same time store that in your database. Then once a user receives the code, you're going to send back the code and the device identifier to the verify code endpoint, which is again a post request. You're going to do your checks. You're going to retrieve data from MongoDB to compile your expiry date, your code, and your device identifier. If everything's fine, you're going to generate your JSON web token, send that to Redis and store it over there. And you're going to send back the token to the client so that they can store it either in their cookies or in their local storage. So that wraps up this entire process. I hope this has been helpful for people because especially the device identifier part is something that I came up on my own. I wasn't able to find something similar to this online, and I feel this is what makes it completely secure and at the same time makes it a very easy and convenient sign up process for the users. So this is something that's very important, something that's simple, should come easily, and I hope that will be useful for you on your projects as well. And definitely, if you find anything that you think might be even more easier or more secure, please let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to include that, and it's going to help me also. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.